So our next section is around lifting our mood after we spotted our warning signs. So what do I do once I've spotted my warning signs?
Okay, so I suppose this is where we get into the real practicalities of keeping ourselves safe. So in the first instance, it's what do we know that helps lift our mood? And I think the important thing to remember here is what works for you as an individual. There's no standard to this. What works for someone might not work for someone else, and actually potentially could have the opposite effect as well, couldn't it? So when thinking about these things, we need to remember maybe different things that might help at different times. So ideally we need a bank of different mood lifting activities. So we often think about different types. We maybe think about physical, creative, productive, comforting, or even simply just zoning out things, how to keep our minds occupied. And I think the most important thing to remember here is you know yourself.
Do the opposite. So this one was about caring for myself. So when I felt at my lowest points, and I would deliberately get up and do the opposite of what I felt. So when I thought, right, this is it, I can't get any lower, I want to kill myself, I would deliberately get up and make myself a cup of tea and sit with it and so on. Another thing that I found really helpful was being kind. At the moment when I felt least kind, I chose to be kind, to help others. And I make jewellery for a living. And one of the things that I did was I made a few small pairs of earrings. This was later on when I gained my physical abilities back again. I made a few pairs of earrings, and then I would leave them, and I still do it occasionally. I leave them in different points around town for other people to find, with a note inside the box that says, if you find these earrings or this pendant, then they're yours to do what you like with, to keep for yourself or to give as a gift. And I found that by doing that, by actually making myself go and do that, that action of being kind to others took my mind off of, I felt kinder towards myself then as well.
Yeah, definitely, because some days it can be very difficult to do a very big task. So it's about being kind to yourself as well. Even if it is, say, I may not feel like going for a long walk, but sitting outside the front door with a cup of coffee, a text message to a friend, a call to my mum, something small like that can help. And then as my mood goes up, I tend to not push myself too much, but do a bit more each time. So with the painting, for example, it could be spending 5 minutes just randomly like painting on a canvas, and then next time 10 minutes, and then 15 minutes, and so on. Yeah. I write them down because I have a very bad memory, so it's a good visual reminder again to have them written down. I keep a notebook at home with sort of, it's a bit like a diary, but with just general thoughts, and yeah, I have the activities written down in there now to pick up my mood.
So what I do is lifting my mood. Now it's a good time of year when it's nice and light. It's getting out on my bike. I have a little loop I do around Walney. It's 10 miles, so it takes roughly about an hour. And then sometimes I just sit down the beach sometimes, just listening to the tide. It sounds a little bit silly saying that, but it's just the fact of one day I might not be able to get to do that. So I just feel thankful sometimes, just sitting there, just watching the birds, listening to the tide, getting out walking, getting myself to the gym. It's just sort of anything to be active. It's just like, it just makes me feel a bit happy.
So we want to be thinking about activities for different times of day, perhaps in different locations, things that we can carry around with us, things that we can do in the home, all kinds of different mood lifting activities in different places.
Yeah, and again, most people will have some idea of what works for them, but I think maybe if it's the first time that you've actually felt this way, it could feel a bit overwhelming. Well, I don't know what lifts my mood, but you know, there's a whole sort of host of information on websites, for example, on sort of distraction techniques. We've got our mental health and wellbeing guide, which is a useful resource which sort of comes up with ideas, focusing on the 5 ways to wellbeing. So yeah, and I think it's be willing to try things and be willing to just have a go, really. I think also it's important to remember that as well as activities, it could be certain people. You know, some people are great for lifting our mood, a bit of positive banter, I don't know, chatting about the football, what you're watching on telly, whatever it might be. Those people, I suppose, who help us feel good about ourselves. They might not necessarily be those sort of trusted confidants that we'll talk about a little bit later, but those ones who basically lift our mood, and we need them on our plan as well.
I like to spend a lot of time with my family and friends because when we're together we're all just comedians, and then when I'm at home I like to play with my cat and snuggle my cat because he just knows how to help and it's just the best. Yeah, because sometimes I forget, and sometimes when I'm in that bad space I feel like nothing's fun, but seeing them written down shows me that they are fun and I do enjoy them and they are really helpful.
So I go to a place called Vulture Club in Whitehaven, and they do different activities each day, from art, creative writing, music, and yeah, people go there for support, emotional support, isolation, recovery from trauma, addiction, all those sort of things, and that is a good hub. I also go to the Recovery College. It's a sense of community. One of the things that can have a really negative effect on someone's mood is that feeling of isolation. And when you're going to a place and connecting with other people and doing activities that you enjoy, I tend to find the day more fulfilling at the end.